the book always makes it past the gatekeeper, always, every single time. And it positions you immediately as an authority in your space, right? The root word of authority is author.
Help me welcome Kimberly Day. Kimberly is a client acquisition expert for coaches, course creators, and entrepreneurs. She helps them attract more clients, obviously, by writing a book and using it as a marketing tool to get more speaking gigs and grow their businesses. Kim, big welcome. And tell us a bit more about how you got into helping coaches write their books.
Yeah, great question. I think, like a lot of coaches, I stumbled into it because it's something that I did for myself in a previous life and in a previous business. And it worked so tremendously well that I decided really needed to share it with other coaches and course creators and entrepreneurs. So for over 13 years, I was actually a financial advisor. And the one thing that they didn't teach you in finance school was how to go out and prospect and get
Right.
leads and bring new customers into your business. And I had this big desire for an independent practice. So to be able to have a book of business with my own clients, so I could create that time and money freedom, right? To be in control of my income, and also to be able to have the room in my business to make my own schedule, to be able to go on holidays when I wanted to. And I knew that being an entrepreneur in some way, shape, or form was going to be hold the key to that.
Right.
Like I said, in finance school, they just didn't teach you how to go out and do lead gen, right? And how to find clients.
Yeah, I mean, no university does at the end of the day, right? Or finance schools or even business schools. They're like, hey, some marketing principles, but nobody tells you about the gut-wrenching feeling you have before walking up to someone or messaging someone online and that fear of rejection you deal with. I mean, I started smoking because of it, because I was terrified of the fear of rejection and all of it, just numbing myself through it. How did you use the book as a way to create more clients?
Yeah, so of course I got the good traditional advice about how to go find clients, right? Like create a top 100 list, go bug all your friends and family. How about go networking, right? Networking is a great one. And don't get me wrong, I love networking. I still go out and do it. But networking isn't one of those places where the entire audience is one of your ideal clients, right? So you have to talk to sometimes 9 or 10 people to find that one person that might be interested in your topic matter. And of
Yeah.
course, when it comes to your friends and family, I mean, I don't know about you, but in Canada, like you just didn't talk about money. Money was one of those taboo subjects that was not talked about in the home. And it was very rude and disrespectful to ask another adult about what they earned in their job, like what kind of income they made. Talking about money we were told was a bad thing. So my thought was, how the heck do you learn about money if we're not willing to have conversations about it, right?
Right.
Especially from the people we're supposed to trust the most, like our parents. So, I was very passionate about financial literacy and being able to teach people these principles. I'd come out of university with $20,000 worth of student loan debt. And I thought, wow, this is going to be a really great thing that I can do. I can get behind what I'm selling because I feel is really important. That you need to have a passion and a belief in what you're promoting and what you're putting out into the world, right? And make it be intentional and purposeful and something good. So I had all of that behind me, but I just didn't have the business and the marketing chops.
Right.
So like a lot of people potentially, or at least a lot of the stories that I've heard, I can only really speak for myself. I struggled. And so I found myself over the years on what I call now the income roller coaster,
Mm.
right? So having a really great month in my business, and then all of a sudden it'll be like, oh my gosh, where is my next mortgage payment coming from? That feeling of like, oh God, I just would be like, I don't know where my next client is happening from, right? There would be times when like my cell phone bill was about to get cut off.
Yeah.
So not only was I struggling to earn money, but I'm a financial advisor. So I am coming up against all the things like self doubt and imposter syndrome. And am I good enough? Will I ever be able to make this work? Right? Why is this so hard? All of
Yeah.
those limiting beliefs that happen in your mind when you're not producing the results that you want to be producing. Right? So
What
go
was the
ahead.
name of your first book?
My first book was The Financial Fitness Playbook. I've got a
I
copy right
love
here.
that. I
Yeah,
love
so I
that.
use it as props. And it was really a game changer in my business because what had happened was when I was on this income roller coaster, what I would do was in the moments where I was like, I don't think I'll be able to pay my cell phone bill next week. I would tuck tail and go back and get myself a stable, secure job somewhere in the
Right.
finance industry, right? So I kept doing this dance between being an entrepreneur and having to go back and get a job.
Yeah.
Also in the world of finance, and in fact, I was in the world of automotive finance. So if you can imagine two really hard industries slammed together, it's the automotive finance industry. So
Yeah.
um, I was in one of my cycles where I had to go back and get a job. And I remembered I was in a car dealership. If you've ever bought in a car recently, every car dealership's almost the same. It's a big shiny showroom in the middle of the building, right? With surrounded by glass offices because the sales staff and everybody needs to see what's going on in the showroom floor. So the salespeople have their offices, the finance managers have their offices, the sales managers have their offices. So everybody can see all the buzz that's happening on the showroom floor. And it was a busy Saturday afternoon. Saturdays are the busiest times in the dealership, right? It's the weekend, fully staffed. It's buzzing. People are looking around. There's appointments for people picking up their cars, all the paperwork that has to get done. I had a full packed schedule. And it's middle of the day, and I get called from my boss to come to his office. So thinking not much about it, I get up out of my, you know, glass office and I walk across the dealership floor over to his glass office. And I get told in that moment that they're going in another direction. And not that I need to pack up my stuff like at the end of the shift and go home, or like you've
Yep.
got a week or 2 weeks to go home. It was like, I need you to go and pack your things and like leave immediately. So I pulled myself together long enough to not like cry or do something because I'm in the fishbowl, literally, right? And so I walk out of his glass office back to my glass office in front of everybody. I pack my things up and I have to walk across the dealership floor with a box of my stuff in the middle of a busy day in front of everybody.
Congratulations. That's
Right?
yeah, and it's usually a conversation I have, like every quote unquote negative thing that happens is a huge catalyst to you being more and more of you and finding, the legs to stand on and say, hey, enough of this. I'm gonna figure this thing out, and that's that. And it's always like we try to avoid these negative events, but they're always tremendous gifts
Yeah. It
whenever
was
they happen.
it was a huge gift for me because it was that TSN turning point of the game where I was, like you said, enough is enough. Is enough is enough is enough. Like I am done
Right.
having to do this vicious cycle, right?
Hmm.
This feast or famine. And I'm tired of having someone else be in control of my economy and my destiny.
Yep.
And so in that moment, I made a decision. That's it. I have to figure this out once and for all. And the rest is kind of a little bit of it, a little bit of history, right? I just pulled myself back up. I had enough that I was like, I have about 3 months here before like things could get dire. So I better get to work. And I set off on a journey. I hired a mentor. I wrote my first book in literally 3 months.
That's
And because
awesome.
I was very motivated to get this thing figured out. But what it did was it opened so many doors that I didn't even anticipate. It opened the doors to speaking opportunities. It opened the doors to free media and publicity. So I'm
Yep.
talking local radio, television. I had CTV News in Canada. Our big news outlet is CTV. I had CTV News at my book launch. Then all of a sudden, CTV News in our province was calling, and then CTV News across the other side of the country was calling. All of a sudden, I went from local celebrity to provincial to national news and media coverage, all because of some intentional planning around writing a book to solve my biggest problem. Was I nobody knew about me,
Hmm.
right? I needed to become the expert in my field. And it's really that is the power of the book, right?
That
It's
is
not about selling books, it's about what the book does for you
the
to
doors it
attract
opens.
people into your business.
Yeah, I was having conversations with last week with two high performers, like authors of multiple books, and they wanted to move from group coaching. They've already helped like thousands of people. They wanted to move to speaking, to keynote speaking. And what I
Mm.
suggested was because they weren't sure whether the CEO would see the value in what they were doing, right, for the teams. So that's what I suggested because nobody like really opens their emails anymore, but everybody opens a package. So I suggested sending them one of their books, one of their bestsellers, with a handwritten letter acknowledging their company and a before and after of a client that was kind of close to either a CEO client or something like that, or before and after of a team that they've helped and transformed their businesses. And they absolutely love that insight. So it's a powerful tool. And my curiosity to you, like from this perspective, would there be anything else that they could send, for example, besides the letter, or how do you usually advise your clients to use a book to open doors like that?
Yeah, like in the corporate world, it's a fabulous, fabulous tool because, and in fact, another author that I work with really closely, her name is Amy Lemire Samato. She had her first book was From Zero to Sales Hero. She used it for that
Mm,
exact. She was a corporate sales trainer. And the biggest thing about going and getting corporate clients is you don't always get to speak directly to the decision maker right out of the gate, right? There's some gatekeepers that are usually there. It starts with whoever's opening the packages, right, in the mailroom. Do they make it to the receptionist, who's going to then deliver them to the administrative assistants, who then decipher one last step on whether it makes it to the decision maker? So you absolutely had that bang on by giving the advice of sending the book, because the book always makes it past the gatekeeper, always, every single time. Because
that is so true.
no one throws away a book, right? You get hand delivered a book, especially one that I don't have a signed copy, but you open the front page and you actually, instead of the handwritten note, you actually leave the note inside of the book. You autograph the book,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
So it's a fabulous tool to get past the gatekeeper, and it positions you immediately as an authority in your space, right? The root word of authority is author, because we're taught ever since we were like knee high to a grasshopper that reading is important, literacy is important, right? Our parents and our aunts and uncles and our parents' friends gift each other books for their children.
Hey, thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you're enjoying the episode. And I just wanted to let you know that if you're making more than six figures and you want to collapse time between where you are right now and your goals, you want to scale your business with a lot more freedom, a lot more fun, a lot more joy from this experience. And like I mentioned, do it faster. I have something that will help. Just like I did my clients. For example, Yoshwin was actually afraid to grow his $120 million a year business because he was afraid he was going to make a mistake that would cost him millions. I quickly got him unstuck and well on his way to doubling the business. Another example, Jessica, she was making 10K a month, but she was stressed out, overwhelmed, overworked, close to burnout, and she was actually kind of hating her business. She quickly scaled to 25K a month while actually working less and having more fun in the business. And I do it through my Warrior Shaman system. If you'd like to learn more about how this system can help you achieve your goals, like I mentioned, with more freedom, fun, and just less grind, less hustle, there's a link below where you can learn more. Now let's get back to the episode.
Right. In fact, our parents would have preferred us playing with a book than with a toy. Right. And we're taught that reading is important. And then we're sent to school. And then what are we taught? We're taught that the person at the front of the room, the teacher, is the expert. We're to listen to the teacher, right? We're to take advice from the teacher.
Right.
And throughout school, we're also handed with every class that we go to a curriculum and a textbook, right? So now imagine you're the teacher at the front of the room, like you talked about with speaking, right? You're the expert at the front of the room teaching and delivering valuable information with your very own textbook with your name on it. You are like shot up immediately and instantly into the position of authority, expert, credible advisor, authority, right? Celebrity, in fact. People are taught to respect you. You shorten what I feel like it does realistically is it shortens the sales cycle.
Mm-hmm.
Because you are shortening that path of know, like, and trust.
Yep. Yep.
People immediately perceive you as a credible expert, and perception is reality in the eyes of the beholder, right? So
what do you see as being like a big challenge, a big mental block for at least your clients or people considering your work in terms of writing a book? Is it the imposter syndrome of, oh, I could never do that, or why would ever anyone read my book, or feeling like it's too complicated, or that the market is oversaturated? What do you feel is the most common challenge?
I probably get three big common ones. One, definitely there's that self-doubt, imposter syndrome. Who am I to write a book? Am I credible enough yet? Am I expert enough yet? Those limiting beliefs tend to come up later, though, once they've already made the decision and they've enrolled in the program. So I'm usually dealing with a lot of that muck inside of the program when blocks are coming up and, they're struggling to get the words out or put the idea together. And I've got lots of tools and resources to help people move past that and back into flow, into creativity. But the ones that usually come up beforehand that are the big ones is people think it's going to take a lot of time, right? So if you're listening and you're thinking, oh God, I just don't have time to write a book. That's going to take forever. That would be so hard. Those are the big challenges I come up with at the beginning. And I mean, I've got two powerful testimonials to that, right? I wrote mine in 3 months. I wrote this one in 10 days. And not only 10 days, I opened up a Word document in my laptop. And 10 days later, I had 2 boxes of books printed on my desk, ready for the book launch.
So, how does one write a book in 10 days?
Aha, this is a great question. Well, first of all, I had the formula to follow. It was my own formula, right? The step-by-step process. That really helps.
Yeah.
Second of all, I'd done it before. So there was some, muscle memory where that was concerned. The third thing I think that's really important and that people forget is that probably if you're already working in your space, right, you've got probably almost 80% of the material that's going to go into your book sitting right in your laptop right now. If you've ever given a presentation, if you've ever gotten on a podcast and you have recordings, you've got transcripts now, right? If you've ever written anything for social media, an article, a blog, a post, you've got your content inside of your computer and inside of your brain. And my process just helps you get it out that much faster, repurpose it, repackage it, and just add a few sprinkles of fairy dust and other great things that make it a tool that leads your reader down a path to working with you, right? Because it's not just about writing any book. It's about writing the right book for the right reader that leads them down the path to working with you. It's not about selling books. In my world, it's not about selling books. It's about what the book does so you can sell them into your coaching, into your online course, into your program, right? And so you can help your customer get transformation. The transformation happens in the program, right?
I think we just found the title for this episode. Write a book in 10 days that gets you high paid clients or something like that. Right?
Yeah. It can happen and it can happen that fast. My one of my clients, Alana, did just that.
Hmm.
We sat down, we created her idea, her outline,
Hmm.
her because it all starts with the I love how everything starts to for me anyways in my world with the Stephen Covey quote.
Right.
Right? You begin with the end in mind. So what is it you want your book to do for you? So for that client you talked about, they already had their book, but Amy, my girlfriend Amy Lemire Samados, who wrote her books From Zero to Sales Hero, did that on purpose to use it as a tool to get past the gatekeeper to corporate decision makers who would hire her as a sales trainer. It was
Right.
very strict,
Hmm.
very intentional. So that's what I help people do is figure out the intention behind what they're going to write their book for. And that's what that whole premise of beginning with the end in mind is all about, right? So what is your program that you're going to offer? What's your consulting service that you're going to offer? What does your online course or program look like? And then we back engineer the book to meet the needs of leading the person down the path to working with you, right?
I love that.
Very
Hmm.
intentional, very strategic. And there's certain things that need to go in your book to be able to do that, to walk them down that path of next step, next step, next step. Now they're working with you. And it can happen really quickly. Alana got her first 2 clients in 2 days. She hadn't even written her book yet. It was just an outline, an idea, and her ability to articulate the idea to 2 potential clients. She signed up a $3,000 client on the Friday after we started working together on the Monday, and signed up her next one the following Friday. So $6,000 in less than 2 weeks.
That's awesome. Yeah, it's a huge one. And something I noticed, like back when I was teaching my personal development through martial arts program, um, I wrote a book as well called, it roughly translates from Romanian to English, Greatness and Mastery, 10 Principles from Martial Arts and Personal Development that will unlock your success. What I noticed when I gave it to my clients as a gift, they got to know me better. The relationship with my clients was so much deeper than without the book.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. You can gift it to your clients. You can include it as a bonus for you know, extra content that would come along with your program or your offering, right? If you're doing keynote speaking, you could ask the event organizer to make, a book for each member of the audience part of your speaker fee, right?
Yep. Yep.
There's all sorts of ways that you can use your book to open doors. Just having the book is also, in and of itself, a door opener, right? So when you're reaching out to um, podcast hosts or summit hosts or wherever it is that speakers go to find all of their speaking opportunities, positioned as a published author or a #1 Amazon bestselling author, really does lend you credibility as a speaker. They love speakers that are also published authors. They just do.
And I have a story for you. I once did an event in my the town where I was born and grew up with, and I brought the books with me. My parents were so proud. Like it was so emotional for them for this whole thing. Plus, a ton of people just bought the book. They was like,
Right?
"Oh, it's like one of ours. He's an author. Oh my God!" And that was fun. Yeah.
I love it. It's so true, right? And it is. It's an honor. It's not everybody that writes a book. I believe the statistics are that 9 out of 10 people say they want to write a book. Only one actually writes the book.
Yeah.
So the stats are pretty big. It's an impressive task. So first of all, congratulations on writing your book,
Thank you.
and it's just it is a work of art, and it's a work of pride, and it's also legacy. For me, it's what you're going to leave behind too, right? So by getting your thoughts and your ideas out and into print, you leave behind some of your own thoughts, ideas. It becomes a legacy especially if you're going to have children and
Yeah. Yeah,
I
that's true.
think it's I think it's a fabulous tool, but it's also so much more than that.
Beautiful. Um, Kimberly, you mentioned having like a resource that people can look into, right? To better, let's say, find their author self or start taking their first steps towards leveling up their businesses through a book. You mentioned the Book to Buyers Toolkit. That
I
tell us a bit about that.
Yeah, absolutely. For anyone listening, if you've considered writing a book, you're not 100% sure if you want to write a book, you don't know if it's maybe right for your business, or you have some of those fears that it'll be really hard, it'll take a long time. Maybe, you weren't great at English in school, or English is your second language. All of those fears can be put aside when you have that kind of path to follow, right? That set of steps, a bit of a roadmap, if you will. And that's exactly what the Book to Buyers Toolkit is all about. It's about being able to take some resources, decide if this might be right for you, and move some ideas about your book forward. So I have 3 actual assets inside of the toolkit. The first one is my 6-figure ChatGPT book launch blueprint. So it's kind of using the tool of AI and ChatGPT to get some of the ideas out of your head, but in a logical and strategic order, based on who it is your client is. What's your reader? What does your reader want to learn? What is the big problem they might be struggling with? The solution that they're looking for, or the results that they desire, and how you can bridge and position your book as that tool that gets them from where they are now to where they want to be a little bit faster and more effectively with your help, right? The second resource inside of that toolkit is the launch maps. So, how I teach writing a book in my program is all about making it be part of your client acquisition or client conversion system. And if you don't know what that is, then maybe yours needs a little bit of an upgrade. So, when I talk about a client acquisition or a client conversion system, I'm talking about that roadmap, the pathway that you're leading your client down to become a client with you. Right. And most people that I talk to, especially when it comes to their marketing and their client acquisition, is they're kind of throwing spaghetti at the wall, right? They're
Right.
trying Facebook ads, and they're trying email marketing, and they're trying to find clients on LinkedIn, and they're doing all of these things, but none of them are strategically leading somebody down a well-designed pathway, right? So think about like, your front yard, when you've got a path that leads to the front door of your house, people know exactly, oh, if I walk down this path, I get to the front door. So what's the path you are leading your client down to working with you? So I have 5 ways that I teach people to do that, 5 different client conversion systems. And they're all different for whatever business you're in and for what stage of your business that you're in. So I'm going to give you 5 of these. They're visual roadmaps. They range anywhere from how to run a webinar to lead people down the path to working with you, to as complex as maybe running a summit. A
Right.
summit is a client conversion event, right? And I teach 5 of them in this toolkit, and I'm going to give you all 5 of them so you can take a look at them, see which one you think might be right for you in your business, and then it gives you all the steps of how you would implement it.
That's awesome.
That's a really good one. Most people love that one.
Love
The
it.
third thing that's in the third thing that's in the toolkit is my traffic secrets. So another big problem I hear in the entrepreneurial space is, how do I get then butts in seats?
Right.
So you've helped me figure out what book I'm going to write. I'm going to help you design and figure out which conversion event is right for you. But then how do you get butts in seats so people come to the conversion event and they learn from you and they move down the pathway? Well, I give you a resource on how to fill your events, how to get 100 leads, and it's a traffic system to get
That's
clients.
that's definitely exciting, and that's definitely a huge pain point for a lot of entrepreneurs and experts for sure. Beautiful. Guys, check the link in the description if you want to learn more, or if you just want to connect with Kimberly and ask her more questions. I'll link her socials below. And thank you so much for tuning in, and thanks for joining us. Kimberly, Anything you'd like to share them or touch upon that we haven't yet?
No, I think this was fabulous. I hope I'll see some of you in the toolkit. And thanks so much, Bogdan, for having me today. It's been a pleasure chatting with you.
My pleasure having you. Looking forward to seeing you again soon. Hey, hope you enjoyed this episode. And you know what? Something that's really, really frustrating for me is this thing that I keep hearing both from clients, both from people who regularly check out the content. They usually say, hey, I don't understand why this content is not getting hundreds of thousands, millions of views, downloads, because it's so freaking good. And I gotta be honest, instead of feeling happy about it, elated, I do feel kind of frustrated. I mean, like, why isn't it getting out there a lot more? So, you know what? If you'd like to help out with this goal, the best thing you can do if you're watching the video right now is give it a like, maybe share it with a friend, or if you're listening to the podcast and you're enjoying this show, giving the podcast a rating either on Apple Podcasts or wherever you are listening to your podcasts is a tremendous help. And if you do help out, I just want you to know that I really, really appreciate it. Thank you so much, and I'll see you next time.